So sadly, this is pretty much downhill from here, because we have passed the phrase wizard ears, and the rest of the game just can't compare. And by the way, in case you were wondering what happened last time, I wasn't paying any attention to the dialogue, it just suddenly hit me that the phrase wizard ears was at some point in this game, and I was pretty sure it was in that chapter. At some point that came up. And I still love that phrase. It's just the best. You don't have to call them wizard ears, he just adds that on for no reason. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is the episode where we'll be taking back Altea. Kinda. I mean, there are 2 chapters dedicated to it. First off, of course, we have to get to the castle itself, and they're not gonna let us do that easily. So it looks like a fairly empty map at the moment. We got a thief over there who's going to be heading towards the villages. Got a few guys over there that look interesting. And we have the boss. He's nothing too special because he's yet another general, because Shadow Dragon really likes those. I mean, to be fair, it kind of makes sense. In the original, at least. They could have changed it up here, they just didn't. But yeah, in the original, General was nearly an enemy-exclusive class. So, there were just a whole lot of them to show off, hey, there are these super powerful general dudes. Now, here we have a little prison area with someone special in it. That's Zane. We'll be seeing him later. Actually, not too much later. He isn't going to be talking for a while, though. Speaking of talking, though, I think Prince Marth has something to say about taking back his homeland today. Martha's a family. I keep forgetting about that. You didn't actually see your mother. She was nowhere to be found. She's never actually had a face portrait, though she did appear in the manga or whatever. Did she appear in the anime as well? I don't know. I've never actually seen the anime. I have seen the manga picture out of context. She looks like an anime. That's the best I got. I'm not friends with the Alteans. Today, this will be the last battle Altea ever has to go through. So, first things first, you do have to worry about those dragon riders over there. I think we'll be taking care of them by leading them over this direction with Minerva. Of course, I also want to head down that way just because I want to go free Zane. He is an enemy unit, but of course, as I've mentioned before, green units don't exist, so he's basically a green unit. He won't attack you. You can kill him if you are the worst person who just kills completely unarmed people for no good reason, even though they have no ill intention, but hey, whatever, that's neither here nor there. Everyone else, though, is going to be going around this way because most of their units are going to be charging at us from that side. I mean, it would be kind of stupid of them to go through the locked door, wouldn't it? We're also going to have to look out for that lot of fortresses near the top of the map, because, of course, at some point, those will have to send out some units. It'd be kind of silly if they didn't. There's also those 2 villages. However, you're only going to be visiting one. Reason being, we'll see when we visit the house, but those villages don't exactly care for one another, so you can only get to one village at a time. I mean, the other won't be destroyed, it'll just lock its doors automatically, but still, you can't go and see what your reward is for getting to that one. So, make sure you save or something. Is there a save point over there? I can't quite tell if there is, but if there is a save point, then you might want to... It doesn't look like there's a save point. That kind of sucks, actually, because unless you're using a guide, you don't know what you actually get from those. So, yeah. Either you're going to have to reset, or you're just going to have to go with whoever you get. Which, to be fair, I don't think either reward is amazing, but we are going to be going for one particular one, and that would be the one that I believe is canon. And the other one I have gone to on my Gaiden playthrough file, so you will see that dialogue at least, and actually the person we get from that village is going to be making an appearance on the Gaiden chapters when those come up. Other than that though, yeah, I'm not going to be using the character I do get all that much. Because honestly, neither of them are amazing, but, you know, I might as well pick one up. Right, so they charge. That thief actually does get to the village rather quickly, so do make sure to hightail it. I mean, in fairness, there's not much of a reason not to, because there are no enemies whatsoever over here, but yeah, do make sure to just get right in there. Otherwise, one village is going to be destroyed and you'll be stuck with one particular choice. And the thief himself, easy enough to take care of. He didn't even damage Seda, the Pegasus Knight. The one who's supposed to be she's supposed to have less defense, basically. Look at that. Didn't even get defense there, yet she took no damage. So, this is who I'm going with this time around. This is Arran, which is a really weird spelling for that name, but whatever. Now, I say this is canon. Technically speaking, we're not really going to be seeing that in this game, but I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be the choice you're supposed to go with. Said supposed to a lot there. And of course the other choice here is the hero Samson, who is okay. Honestly, I didn't really like him as much as other units, axe units rather, like Board. Kinda think Board's better, but I guess Samson does a little bit of damage and he's kind of fast, so he's alright. I mean, if you really want him, I guess it's okay. Well, anyway, he's mostly going over the same thing that Arran went through last time. And after that, I will show off the bios. So, future me, take it away. Oh yeah, stats. Alright. Now you can take it away. First off, we have the character that I'm actually going with, Arran. Now, he's an okay paladin. I think his biggest problem is the fact that he starts at level 10, so he's only 10 levels to go until he reaches his cap. That being said, though, his resistance is decent. I mean, he is a paladin, so it only makes sense. His growth is kind of pitifully low, so it's probably not going to go over 6, but to be fair, 6 is a lot higher than most characters. As for his other stats, they're alright. High strength is nice, but his other stats are kind of mediocre. He does have a few weaknesses and nothing he particularly excels in, so he's not the best character to have, but you can probably find some use for him. On the other hand, you have Samson, who, honestly, I think is really very mediocre. He's got the same problem where he starts at level 10, so he only has 10 levels until he reaches his cap. Only 3 resistance, no resistance growths, and in general, all of his stat growths are really kind of bad. I mean, come on, 25% speed, 35% strength? I mean, he gets plenty of HP, good for him, but his defense isn't all that much better, so all in all, Samson, kind of forgettable. And yes, that's supposed to be a B rank in swords, not lances. That was my mistake. Right, so, fun fact, according to, I believe it was an Iwata Asks that I read a while back, apparently one of the main inspirations for Fire Emblem Fates, oddly enough, was actually this chapter, and those specific villages. It's kind of weird, but basically the gist of it is, they kind of wanted to make a game out of it, like a bigger choice sort of thing, because this is a very small-scale choice, but by going to one village, you're locked out of the other, so I guess I can kinda see the logic. I mean, personally, my first thing that I would have gone to is, what if any of the choices you did in any of the games, especially Awakening, what if they actually mattered? But it's definitely a bit of an odd one, but yeah, I guess there you go. This was actually the inspiration for Fire Emblem Fates. It's quite a big leap from, hey, you are essentially choosing a character you want to use, except you can't see the other character you get, you only know them by name, and unless you reset, you can only go with one, so it's kind of not quite random, but you don't know what you get until you actually get it, so under that logic, I guess I can kind of see it. I mean, in fairness, I haven't played much of Fates, so I don't really know how much that actually matters, other than just, hey, what version are you playing, but I've managed to, mostly remain spoiler-free from that game, so, all I really know about that is how terrible they've kind of been handling the whole gay romance thing. Like, that and, of course, that one S-rank conversation you get with one of the characters who is very definitely gay, except she's not the gay option, so you can only have straight relationships with her, which is alright if she's bisexual, except, if you've read what actually happens in that particular conversation, it's, not exactly good. It's, kind of creepy and weird, but they're actually changing that in localization. By the way, don't ever look at the comments for any sort of thing relating to that. That should kind of be the default for anyone who's not me. You should spare yourself and never, ever look at the comments, but I make many mistakes with my life. But yeah, don't read the comments, because it's just a whole lot of people going, oh, censoring it! No. No. Just no. No, they are making a good change. Nobody liked the original, so you know what? They're changing in localization, and that's good. It's a good thing. Please do that. But yeah, nonetheless, I'm still excited for Fates. I think it's going to be pretty great. It's just, I just know a whole lot of out-of-context things. Oh, goodness. I mean, I guess the bottom line is I'm not going to be able to marry Rinka on my first file, and that's going to suck, because of course I'm going to go with my usual avatar first. Always go with Iris, that's what I say. But yeah, that kind of sucks. Seriously though, one gay character per gender, and they're both in different games, so you have one very specific character. I mean, I'm pretty sure the best solution here would to just have me write the Fire Emblem games. I'll do it, Nintendo. You're probably not watching this, but I'm offering my services anyway. I'll do it. There won't be any sort of dumb gay conversion thing like in Fire Emblem Fates. Oh no, I'll be A-okay. First bit of advice, you know how everyone complained about, oh, everyone's bisexual, and like, oh, what was it, Mass Effect or Dragon Age, I forget, but everyone complained about something like that, and they were wrong, because, really, who cares? In the end, it makes everyone happy. Though how come that's like the one time people understand bisexuality? Well, it doesn't have to be that everyone's bisexual, their sexuality it's determined by you, the player. Ah, yes, but since they have the option to marry or date or smooch or whatever it is you do in those games, since you have the option to do it with both, then therefore they are bisexual, because it's not limited to just who you're dating at the moment, and it's just like, oh, that's great. I'd be proud of you, if not for the fact that it's annoying that you finally made this discovery. Because otherwise everyone's just like, what? How are you bisexual? You're a man dating a woman. I don't get it. Oh, well. Oh yeah, Agnes almost dead. That sucks. Oh yeah, by the way, strategy for Zane. I would suggest keeping somebody at the doorway, because otherwise he's going to take the long way around trying to talk to Marth, because that's the first thing he does. He's kind of like Paula and Katria like that. He will just beeline for Marth the moment he can, which, by the way, I did not kill Paula and Katria on my Gaiden file, because I actually surrounded Marth with other units so that they couldn't talk to him. Therefore, they remained enemy units, but it's not like they attacked anybody. So yeah, that's a good strategy if you don't want to outright kill people who don't try to attack you. It won't work for, I think it was Wendell a long time ago, because he's actually hostile, he will try to attack you, but for everyone else, yeah, it works. So I'm going to leave Kane there so that Zane doesn't try to head for Marth. That would be especially bad, well, actually it wouldn't be the worst thing if the enemies spawn, because he's an enemy as well, so they wouldn't attack him. That being said, I'd really rather not just have him join that fray. I'd much prefer to kind of just save it until Marth starts approaching the castle. So I'm also going to want to block the other side of the door like that, so once all the units I want to use pass through, then he won't be able to go through there either. And then I'll just keep him there until it's actually time for him to come out and talk to Marth. Also, there are a whole lot of houses here. Gotta talk to a whole lot of people, which is kind of problematic because, Seda and Minerva, yeah, they're kind of both useful in battle. So, yeah, I'm gonna need to just take a break here, but then go right back in, because their help is valued. There's also a couple of shops which you might want to use, and an arena, which I never actually use ever. I'll be completely honest, I can't remember the last time I even used an arena in a Fire Emblem game. I mean, I'm certain that by this point I've mentioned that they're basically grinding spots. Oh no, grinding in Fire Emblem, this is the worst thing ever, oh god, this game is ruined! But yeah, I just never use them. You pay gold, you might win gold back depending on the game. I don't think that always happens in every Fire Emblem, but I can't remember. Probably because I don't actually use it. That might explain why. But yeah, you get experience. It's for experience grinding, and I never really need it because I don't really have units fall that far behind ever. Because in these early Fire Emblem games, there's really not much of a point for having characters outside your main team. I mean, I guess if you're new to the series, it can definitely help, and back in the day I did kinda use them. Especially in 7, I believe. Actually, if you're playing on Hector's story in that game, there's a point where you do have to use the arena. And I certainly did, but that's a completely different reason. But yeah, I don't think I've ever really used the arena in Shadow Dragon. Actually, the one other time I would use the arena would probably be in Genealogy of the Holy War, because you get that right at your home castle, and it's actually pretty damn useful overall. And again, that's another game where you have to use the arena at some point or another, because otherwise you miss out on a character. But yeah, other than that, I don't ever really use arenas. Because I mean, in other games like Sacred Stones or Awakening, you have grind spots, so those are the games where I actually do feel like I like using all the units, because first off, they're some of my favorite characters, I like all of them. Though to be fair, maybe that's because it's just so easy to use so many of them, and I can separate them for runs, but then when the paths in that game converge, I can just quickly grind up the units that went on the other path, and everybody is up to date. But yeah, maybe I would like a lot more of the units in Shadow Dragon, except Boa, because he's the worst. If I were able to just, I don't know, do... Well, I guess there is grinding here, because it is the arena, and there's actually an arena in Fire Emblem 12 as well, one that you can always access, because it's on your preparation screen. And yet I never actually used that, which is a bit of a shame, because there are a lot of units in 12, and a lot of them are pretty cool, but I never really use them. I should. One of these days I should do another playthrough of Fire Emblem 12, except actually use units outside my comfort zone. Because I do have some I use all the time, and I know I will never, ever use one of the starting knights because he sucks and is terrible. Not like stat-wise, I don't even know how he is stat-wise, I just hate him as a person. But yeah, outside of that, I think part of the problem is I actually have a good combination of, like, support units. Oh yeah, by the way, I keep meaning to bring this up, but I don't think I ever have in this playthrough. So, one of the biggest reasons people don't like this game is that there are no supports. Well, there are no support conversations, is the thing. There are supports in this game. Have you ever noticed that? Like, legitimately, have you ever noticed that there are supports in this game? Because there is absolutely no indication that there are supports in the game. It never tells you, but yeah, certain units support other units, so basically, if they participate in the same battle and stand near each other, after some time, they'll give little stat boosts to each other. Again, you won't actually see it, there's no indication for it, you just have to guess. But usually, in most Fire Emblem games, it's indicated by a support conversation. Basically, after you get a certain number of points, you can have the characters talk to each other, and they'll have little conversations, which not only indicates the fact that their support level has gone up and their stat boosts are better when they stand within 3 tiles of each other, but it's also just a nice little bit of, like, character building, and it makes everyone feel relevant, which I think is pretty much what kind of saves Fire Emblem, because, of course, since units can't permanently die, there aren't a lot of them that can really take place in the story, and in fact, Fire Emblem Awakening has a few characters where if they're killed, they don't actually die. They take an injury that'll remove them from the battle for the rest of the game, but they will be present for the story, just because it gets kind of boring to have the Lord bounce off of only one character. Like in this game, where you have Marth and Malladus. I don't like Malladus as a character at all because he's extremely dull, so I don't care. The next game has something similar, but Marth has a few more characters to work off of, and the main sort of, I guess, tactician mentor character is a lot better. I actually kind of like him. Where was I going with this again? I've lost my train of thought yet again. Oh yeah, just the fact that the support conversations are generally how characters actually get development or how they stay relevant. It may not be to the main plot, but because they have these conversations, you actually remember they exist outside of just fighting with them. And it's really nice. And again, that's why a lot of people dislike this game. It doesn't have it, so the characters feel a lot more flat because of it. And overall, it just feels like a much more, I'd almost say lifeless game, just because you don't have those character interactions. They pretty much just talk to you once, say hi to Marth, and then they're done. If they don't fight with you, you forget about them, and that's why support conversations exist, and why they should have kept existing. Now, this is another reason that Radiant Dawn was kind of the downhill of the series. Now, I don't have as much experience with that game, but if I remember correctly, there are no, like, specific support conversations, because generally, only certain units can support with one another because, well, it makes sense. If a character can support with every other character in the game, that's a lot of extra dialogue for the writers to write, which, you know, it would be nice if they could, but it's understandable that they wouldn't want to write for everyone, though in fairness, they really should have been less lazy for this game, because the fact that they're not here at all really sucks. That being said, though, yeah, Radiant Dawn, basically the deal with that game is everyone could support with everyone, except they all had generic conversations. Like, they had lines of dialogue, the other character would have, like, reaction lines of dialogue, or something of that nature. And, yeah, it was real bad. And then this game just outright cuts support conversations altogether. Again, support still exists, but I'll be damned if I've ever noticed it. But yeah, thankfully, Fire Emblem 12 brings back support conversations. It's not quite as good. I forget if supports actually give... Actually, no, I'm pretty sure they do give you support bonuses in that game. But again, there's no indication that you're actually getting stat boosts in that game, so it's still kind of bad in that regard, but at least you get support conversations. Now, the problem is most of them are with your avatar character, so a lot of characters that seem like they should have support conversations just don't. For the most part, it is just them and your character. Which is better than nothing, I will say that, but Awakening definitely had it best where, of course, your avatar could support with every character in the game. That makes sense since, you're the main character. You want to talk to everyone. You want to have the possibility open to, be friends with everyone or maybe start relationships with every single person. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But, yeah, there were also plenty of other supports as well, just the other characters supporting with one another. And that is pretty much the best that it's been. Especially since earlier Fire Emblem games limited supports. You only had 5 support conversations to have. So basically you could have 1 A support, like a B support, or 2 C supports, stuff like that. And oh, Zane, I'll take a break from that real quick. This is Zane. I think Zane's pretty good. I like him as a character. We're not gonna see why in this game, sadly. He is a unique character, and that he's a different class than most. Or maybe he's the same class, actually. That being said, though, I do love his sense of humor, so even if he isn't really as good of a character just yet, he's still a pretty cool dude. I like him. Yeah, it seems like a pretty good idea. That being said, though, I'm not huge on his gimmick, so we're not going to be seeing much of him. I guess we'll just let this enemy turn play out, unless future me wants to come in. Zane's a pretty unique character. His stats don't particularly matter here because he's actually a transforming character. Basically, you just waltz up to somebody, copy them, and you have their stats, including their HP. So basically, you're gaining stats in order to keep him alive in case he happens to be caught when he's not transformed. That being said, his transformations allow him to use special items such as rapiers or hammers and whatnot, so for the most part he's pretty versatile. There are a few weapons he can't actually use, most of them are just super special weapons, and he also can't copy Monokets, so he can't use Dragon Stones either, which is kind of odd, but we'll get to that later. Zane can be very useful, even though I don't personally use him, so even though his stat growths aren't really all that good, doesn't matter. His uses all involve him copying someone else. Alright, well, I'm fairly certain I've given future me sufficient time to go over Zane's bio. So, since he's done that, yeah, Zane can copy units, and it's a pretty neat idea. I just don't feel there's a huge use for it. Well, there is plenty of use for it, to be completely honest. It's just not a huge use for me. I don't typically use that in my strategies, so you're not going to be seeing that one. Which, in fairness, is a little too bad. Because, again, it's a neat character concept, and I'm sure plenty of people can just out-and-out break the game by using Imitate. But, yeah, it's not really for me. And, of course, the only indication that Zane is different is that his name's different. Otherwise, he's got the same face, same stats. Oh yeah, and he does have his own inventory, in all fairness. But yeah, other than that, completely identical. But actually, we're getting pretty close to the end of the chapter here. They do send out a lot of units, but they don't matter too much. Look at this guy. Who cares about this guy? Actually, he's a pretty tough dude. He's got some pretty good speed, I must admit. Not bad at all. However, we're gonna end this. Dunked him with a fireball. I dunked him real good. Alright, now you don't want to move too far out, because if I remember correctly, even Cain kinda got destroyed by going too far. I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure I did have a bit of a screw-up there. And only Aura's going to do that. I mean, to be fair, I've been pretty sparing with my uses of Aura, so I didn't need to be too nervous about using it. Oh, wow, that was a meh level up. I mean, skill's always good, but other stats would have been nice. Alright, well, at this point, this group is pretty much waiting to meet with that fairly large group of reinforcements. I think this is either the last round or the second to last round of them. I never remember when things stop respawning, but it's eventual. They stop at some point. I mean, they almost have to. I guess not necessarily, you know, they might stop at some point. Or it might be endless, rather. Is there a game that does that? Maybe Thracia. I think Thracia might have a few chapters where respawns are infinite and you kind of have to escape the map instead. Because it does really like that, which is one of the reasons I want to like Thracia. I just don't because it's really, map-wise, not the best. It does really like doing a kind of a Suikoden-ish thing, though, where you're on the run for like half the game before you actually get powerful. Which, you know, I like that. The Suikoden 2 just has such an excellent sense of pacing, but map design, sadly, not Thracia's strong suit. Oh yeah, I forgot. I was supposed to be describing the support conversations, wasn't I? Yeah, earlier Fire Emblem games, you only get 5 supports, 1 A support, and if you have like 2 B supports and a C support, you can never A support with someone, which really kind of sucks. In Awakening, you can S support with, well, pretty much anyone of an opposite gender, cough cough, but you actually have these see-through A support conversations, which you can always get, no matter how many other support conversations you've been through, and they're more or less a clean and tidy arc, I guess you'd call them. You know, they basically all just have their little storylines in each one, and they finish out without any sort of cliffhangers, like, oh, well, that's done with, but maybe next time we'll be married. It's more, alright, well, that's done with. Oh, yeah, by the way, next conversation, we're gonna get married now. Gonna get married thanks to the power of pies. Okay, I have to admit, either Hardin's speed isn't amazing, or his speed is. I would have to take another look at it, though. Actually, 7 speed. No, his speed sucks. So I don't know what I'm talking about. I guess he's kinda tough. Actually, no, I'm not able to double him. What sort of witchcraft is this? Does Castor also have terrible speed? Yeah, about that. You think you're gonna touch me with that Killer Lance? 'Cause, not really thinking you are. Okay, so, yeah, Castor's speed does suck really bad. Oof. I have to admit, that 10% critical is pretty good. I mean, Kain is supposed to have pretty good luck. I guess 12's not the best, but it's better than most people, so the fact that he still had a 10% crit chance on him, that's a pretty good indication that he's actually kinda tough. I say kinda, because, you know, oh yeah, Armor Slayer. I was gonna say, maybe you should use the Rapier past me, except, no, Armor Slayer's fine. Oh, Camus, is he around? I hope not, I don't want to fight him just yet. And to be honest, I don't think Nina wants me to fight him either. She's, really seeming kinda anxious about that. Gee, I wonder why. And we get a Draco Shield. Those are kinda rare, but oh so very valuable because they raise your defense. You don't see many of them, but yeah, they are some of the most useful stat boosting items in the game. Though in fairness, I think resistance would probably be the best for reasons that should be obvious by this point. They haven't ceased their resistance, they're still in the castle. We're not done here. Yeah, see, Marth knows what's up. There are still soldiers lurking inside the castle. They may not have sent out that many reinforcements, but they're definitely lurking in there. Oh, and I guess we're gonna have a cool moment where Marth makes a speech. It's actually not that memorable or good, but whatever. Speech time, we're gonna go beat up those Dolar jerks. Our foes are ghosts! I should have known. Alright, next time on Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, we'll be doing just that.